Welcome to the Shaun Show. I am Shaun. Ladies and gentlemen, we all missed something at the Royal Rumble. What did we miss? I'm super excited to talk about it. Listen, enough with the little, intro and all that. You ready? Let's get into it. You sure? You got your snacks and everything and all that? All right. Let's go. Welcome to the Shaun Show. I am Shaun. I think those are my cell phones as well. And remember to like, share, subscribe. They'll tell you down there what to do. Greatly helps us out. Ladies and gentlemen, we just came from the 2021 Royal Rumble. The first major wrestling pay-per-view of 2021. Now, I'm going to go over each match, and then I'm going to talk about the major thing that we missed, which is what we call in the business a cliffhanger. Now, the first match, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't watch the first match because I didn't know it was going to be on the kickoff show, which was the women's tag team titles. I did another show with my homeboys over at ringscoops.com. Check them out. And it was a prediction show. And I predicted that the titles were going to change hands because I really didn't know what they were doing. I don't think anybody knew what they were doing because you had Asuka, who is a Raw Women's Champion, who's really not in any type of storyline of any meaning whatsoever. And then you have Charlotte, who really is just, I guess, brought back to be in the tag team title picture to kind of, spice up the women's division because they needed to do something. But she's feuding with, Lacey Evans. I can never get her name. Lacey Evans. And this Ric Flair thing, which I think is weird. So I just think what's going to end up happening is I think that, and when you watch this, this is a disclaimer. This is before Monday Night Raw, the Raw after the Royal Rumble, the SmackDown after the Royal Rumble. So whenever you watch this, just know that I don't know what's going on. This is just me and you talking, right? But I believe in my heart of hearts that Asuka's going to lose the strap, either to Charlotte or to Lacey Evans, to build up their Wrestlemania match. That's what they want, is a big Wrestlemania match. I don't know if they're going to build it where, Ric Flair can't be the referee because he's not really as mobile. But they'll do something with Ric Flair involved in the situation. But I can't tell you if the match was good or not, but I do like the outcome. Next match on the agenda was Goldberg versus Drew McIntyre. This opened up the show. I wasn't too surprised of it. Now, if you watch the Shaun Show, which you do, and if you don't, you need to subscribe, we went over this whole Goldberg-Drew McIntyre thing. And we went over it because we were trying to figure out, was this going to be something that's good for the WWE? Should we be thankful that Goldberg is involved in this type of situation, the storyline? That was the conversation that we had here on the Shaun Show. We talked about it, I think, 2 times. And we came to some details. Some of you stated that this was a really good move. Some of you stated that this was a really bad move, but everybody had some sort of opinion on it. And ultimately, we had a match. Now, the one thing I want to talk about this match has nothing to do with the match itself, but it has to do with Goldberg's physical appearance. Now, we're used to Bill Goldberg, he looks a certain way. If you saw him, he was noticeably skinnier. His arms were noticeably smaller. He wore shorts, and I'm sure you see my phone. Is that my phone? What is that? Oh, my credit card. Wow. No one should see that. He was noticeably, I'm leaving that in. He was noticeably smaller. He was noticeably thinner. It's like I can't say that he was muscular. Can't say that. But I know when you get older in age, something happens to your muscles where they're not as, I don't want to use the word perky because that just would sound really weird. Your muscles are not as pronounced or defined. They kind of shrink and shrivel when you get old. Everything just kind of drops. And this is the first time I really noticed this on Goldberg, that, you know, his physique is not the physique that we're used to the point that he was wearing longer shorts. And I think he's wearing the longer shorts because if he had the short shorts, I think you would see just how small his thighs and his hips were compared to how he normally looks. So you know, it's not that big of a deal because he's an older guy, but it just tells me how last minute that it was for Goldberg to be picked and put into this match, because Goldberg has made statements before in the past about how difficult, people don't know how difficult it is to be Goldberg that people knew of old. So for him to, you know, look this way and it had to be last minute. It's just like a boxer that gets ready for a fight. Like when a boxer gets ready for a fight, they have to make weight. And if they don't make weight, then they, you know, won't be able to fight. They have to get in boxing shape. He had to get in wrestling shape, and I don't think he had the opportunity or the months advanced head notice to do that. So that was very visually like, oh wow, this Goldberg, he looks very skinny. So the match itself, I think the match was booked very, very well. You know, you're not going to put Goldberg in a match that's 30 minutes. He's never really been known for a 30-minute match. I think that was the problem with his run in the WWE. He had even said years ago that, you know, the best way that you get Goldberg is if you put me in short matches and, you know, I can do my thing. Which, again, does it speak to his wrestling capability? No. Does it speak to him lacking in the ring? No. Just because you have a shorter match, like for example, the AEW guys, they know exactly what matches sell. And those matches are the flipping and flopping and all that other stuff. That's what sells. They know that. They know that they have to get all of their spots in order for it to be a match that matches the standard of what the Young Bucks are, or what Kenny Omega is. They know that. So it's not a knock on him. It's just he knows his character. He knows what gets him over. So we had one of those classic Goldberg matches. He did his thing. McIntyre did his thing. It was a very good, like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen type match. Because if you like him or not, you had no idea who was going to win the way that they booked it. They booked it very, very well, whoever put the match together. Goldberg, you know, said you passed the test. I have no idea what that was about. But I'm going to get to that a little bit later. Like I said, it was a good match. No problem with it. Drew McIntyre won. I have a problem with Drew McIntyre only because I just think that his title reign has been long and boring. And it has nothing to do with his character, nothing to do with his in-ring capability. It has to do with the fact that the storylines that he's been in have been very, very lackluster. So I'm kind of disappointed from that standpoint. But Drew McIntyre wins. Okay, the next match was Sasha Banks and Carmella. Now, I didn't get an opportunity to watch SmackDown, so I was completely surprised by this match. I know that they're doing like the wild card thing. They're calling it something different. Please excuse that noise in the back. Wow. I know they're doing the wild card thing or the quarterly thing. They just, whatever they call it. They just want guys to be able to go from Raw to SmackDown. Just call it that, right? So, yeah, Carmella against Sasha Banks. Now, at the very beginning of that match, right? There was a backstage segment. The backstage segment, if you paid attention to it, Sasha Banks kind of gave like a heel vibe type promo. Like, you think I'm worried about? Like, it was very heelish, right? Sasha wins. I didn't really think for a moment that Carmella was going to win, just because the match was put together last minute, and just because I don't know why they don't understand. Like, if you're going to get a new character over, that new character has to win. Like, you can't just hope that they get over by losing. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, Carmella won. I'm not Carmella. Sasha Banks won. And it wasn't a surprise there, so You know, it was just kind of like, next match. The next thing wasn't necessarily a match. It was the Bad Bunny thing. I heard of the name. I'm not familiar with him as an artist. I'm sure that he's a very big overseas artist. I didn't even know there was a song called that. This was something that the WWE loves to do, which is tap into their Latino audience. In fact, if you think about it, remember when Rey Mysterio Jr. was in the Royal Rumble? Like, they had this big old advertisement about him being partnered with a Hispanic beer brand. And, you know, I've never seen a commercial for a wrestler and what they wear in the middle of the Royal Rumble. So that just shows me that they're trying to get into their Hispanic market even more. But all in all, you know, the performance happened. Honestly, I had got some food, and, you know, I started making my food during then. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just trying to be honest. Then we started with the 30 women Royal Rumble. Billie Kay. I mean, if you want to talk about an MVP of something, Billie Kay is it. She made it very funny and entertaining for me. There was a few surprises in the Rumble. I think this was a very good booked Rumble. I think that it paced well. Victoria was a surprise. Jillian was a surprise. It's kind of disappointing because a character like Jillian, like, we could really use her right now. Like, just imagine if you did this Billie Kay and Jillian thing, and, you know, Jillian, she was a little out of shape, but again, probably last minute notice, and a lot of people are like, unless I'm wrestling on a daily basis or really into bodybuilding and stuff, I'm not gonna have a six-pack abs. So I'm not dissing her when I say that. I'm just saying that she was a little out of shape, but that was really good. I like the women's battle royal. Bianca Belair was a surprise to win. And the reason why it was a surprise to me is because Bianca Belair has never been in a position to be a serious competitor for a championship since she was called up at Wrestlemania last year, if you think about it. There's been no meaningful storyline. She finally got into one with Bayley, but it's like they kind of like said, you know what, screw this trying to be like a place to plateau her up to a next level. They just made her win the Royal Rumble. Now, I don't have anything against her winning the Royal Rumble. I was very happy for her. I clapped for her. I said she deserves it. And she deserves it only because even in NXT, they didn't even really give her the strap. So I'm happy, but there's a caveat as to why I'm not 100% enthused about it. Now, what is that? Why am I not 100% confused? Enthused about it. I'm not 100% enthused about it simply from the standpoint of this. Rhea Ripley is ready. Rhea Ripley was ready last year. Shayna Baszler is ready. Shayna Baszler was ready last year. If we want to make the women's division popular, entertaining, then we have to have a good heel. We have to have someone that just keeps winning. We have to have storylines built up where it is this big baby face against this big heel, and that's what you call a money match. Bianca Belair is the perfect candidate to be that big baby face down the line. Even SummerSlam, I think that she would have been perfect. I don't know what happened to my lighting. She would have been perfect to be that big baby face. Perfect for it. But instead, we're having a unproven entity against Sasha Banks. And I'm saying Sasha Banks because, like I said earlier, Sasha Banks cut a promo that was very heel-like. So I don't see Bianca Belair versus, you know, Asuka, because like I said, I don't see Asuka holding on to the title much longer. But if we would have had Rhea Ripley, you know, going after Asuka, or going after My phone's talking a lot today. Going after Sasha Banks, because, you know, Sasha Banks, we could have still kept her on her whole face, you know, journey, and Rhea Ripley would have been that big heel. Like, if we would have did that, I think that would have been more of a money match. Nothing against Bianca at all, but you can't thrust somebody into the main event scene when they are not ready yet. She's not had any meaningful storyline. I don't know anything about her outside of her being, whoa, I don't know what my phone's doing, the camera's doing. I don't know anything about her outside of her being very athletic, outside of her being very charismatic, outside of her having really dope theme music. I don't know anything about this chick. I'm just being honest with you. So, congratulations, but I just think that it's too soon. The next match, last man standing match, Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns. Kevin Owens really was out to make this a memorable match. I mean, this guy was bumping everywhere. A table bump, a golf cart bump. That golf cart bump was just... And I know there's argument, and AEW did it, and they did it, and blah. It's a spot that has been done multiple times, okay? In multiple different companies. Kenny Omega didn't take this spot and create it, okay? Just so you know. But it was very, like, it just out of nowhere. It was really, it made me jump. It made me go, ooh. So that was really good what they did with that spot. Then he would jumped off the scaffolding into the he was just, it was just amazing spot. I was very impressed with the effort that these guys put on. The ending of the match didn't really go as planned. The ref started counting, and he had to stop counting because it couldn't get, Paul Heyman couldn't get Roman Reigns loose from there. But it really wasn't that big of a surprise that he won. But overall, it was a very good match. Very good match. I think possibly, you let me know down below, that was their best match that they had. The next match after that, and the final match of the night, was the Royal Rumble itself. Now, the Royal Rumble, it was very weird because they announced who number 1 and number 2 was going to be. They've never done that. I don't know why they did that. We had Randy Orton do an injury angle. Now, I was believing it for a minute until they decided to go to the backstage area and they showed him being iced down his knee. And it's like, we never show that. So they played it up a good amount. Orton played it up like, I can't believe it. Oh, my leg, I can't believe it. Played it up really well until we started showing them backstage. I said, oh, okay, well, this is a work. The match, was it the greatest Royal Rumble ever in terms of... No, it wasn't. Was it entertaining? Absolutely. Was Christian a big surprise? No one was really talking about Christian. Like, Christian had a journey like an Edge or a Daniel Bryan. We need to really put some respect on that man's name to come back in the ring and wrestle. Because last summer, it looked like they were afraid to even touch him. You know, they did the camera angle thing and stuff like this. So I said, oh, well, he's never wrestling again. And then he did like a little bump. I think that next pay-per-view. It's kind of like how they did with Edge. Like, they had him do the spear, and then they had him, you know what I'm saying? Like, the little baby steps, right? And did that with Christian on the low, right? Little stuff here and there. And now he's back. Now, I really hope, see, a guy like Christian we need on the program. We need a Christian. We need an Edge. We need some guys that are experienced and that can talk, because it's just predictable right now. It's just slow right now. I'm happy that they came back, but the match overall, like I said, it was very entertaining. Was it the best Royal Rumble? No. And it was funny because I was watching I think this was the 94 Rumble or 92. Forgive me because I'm not some people just know this stuff off the top of their head. I'm not one of those people that I just know what the match was. But I had watched the Royal Rumble later that night because it was just I was on YouTube and it said watch the complete Royal Rumble from 92 and 94. Anyway, it was the Royal Rumble where Ric Flair won. It was for the world title. And what was funny for that Royal Rumble is how different it is today compared to back then. It is completely different. And I'll tell you why. Probably wondering the wardrobe change and the dramatic pause and all of that and the transition. Battery died. It's hours later. But I wanted to finish my thought. What I noticed when I watched the Royal Rumble back in the day with these great WWE Hall of Fame superstars. I mean, this was a star-studded Rumble. I mean, anybody who was there, everybody was in that Rumble. Is that they didn't have a lot of glitz and glamour. You know, this wasn't a situation where there was pyro and there was lights and there was music and there were all these things. And it just is kind of funny in a way that today's superstar kind of needs that to get over. Like back then, I mean, we look at the guy's tights and look at, you know, Sergeant Slaughter. I mean, he looked like a balding 50-year-old man. You know, you had Hacksaw Jim Duggan. He came out with just blue tights and a 2x4. You had, you know, Hulk Hogan, red and yellow. I mean, these guys didn't really have anything that was spectacular about their entrance or about their attire. It was their charisma and it was their athleticism. It really got them over. And my nose is itchy. They really got them over, excuse me. So now you take it to today's WWE product. And today's WWE product, are guys over because of their music, of their attire, of their, you know, they're cool and hip on the internet and make you laugh? Or are they over because they really have talent? That's really a question that we can dive deeper into next time, but I just thought that was very interesting. I will like to say this. I was very impressed with Damian Priest. Damian Priest was made to look like a superstar. That tells me that they're going to invest a lot of time and money into him. Now, mind you, when I'm watching this, or recording this, I should say, I don't know what's happening or what's going to happen. I'm just telling you my thought process. But all in all, I think that Edge winning, there really wasn't anybody else that could win. Edge makes sense. Edge is going to make the WWE product better by his in-ring work and his mic skills. He's going to push Drew McIntyre because that's who I believe he is going to pick as his opponent. Now, the thing is that I was saying earlier, I was saying there's one thing that we missed. And the one thing that we missed was this. If you notice, they're kind of doing this whole generations thing, right? Goldberg, Drew McIntyre, they were saying it's the battle of generations. Ali had said tired of part-timers. In the Royal Rumble match, Seth Rollins was with Braun Strowman, said these two guys are old-timers are trying to take our spot. There was a rumor from a very popular Twitter account that always has the inside information that Vince was going towards this the new generation type push, that they were going to have a lot of legends in this Wrestlemania, but they were going, I guess, do the favors and finally give the respect to the next upcoming guys. I don't know if Vince is doing this because he feels as if these guys have reached the end and he can't really get any more money out of them, so he's not going to put them in the ring, or if he just needs to get as much rubs as possible from these guys with experience to try to, you know, push the envelope a little further. But we missed that. We missed that in terms of watching the Rumble. I don't see anybody talking about it. And they've already planted the seeds as to this old generation versus new generation. So it ought to be very interesting to see where this goes when matches are made. Cena said that he couldn't do it because of COVID restrictions. He could have wrestled at WrestleMania, but I mean, anything's possible. All in all, it was a solid pay-per-view. Wasn't the best Royal Rumble ever, but it was a very solid pay-per-view. 4 hours flew by. Very, very minimal low points, if any at all. I would say Bad Bunny's probably the biggest low point. But it was a good pay-per-view. Can't argue with that. Okay, guys, tell me your thoughts on the Royal Rumble. Did you guys like it? Did you enjoy it? What was your favorite moments? Do you think that the people that won should have won? Do you think somebody else would have won? Comment down below and let me know what you thought, what you think. Not thought, but think right now, because we're on the road to WrestleMania and anything is possible. Anything can change, as we've seen in the past. And again, I appreciate you joining me here on the Shaun Show, and I will see you next time.